Hey guys, hello everyone and welcome to the channel. So today in this video I'm going to talk about PMRF fellowship. PMRF means Prime Minister Research Fellows, and the fellowship which you get under this is called as PMRF fellowship. Why I'm going to talk about this? Because it's one of the fellowship which is highest right now in India. Okay, if you are doing research, this is the highest amount which you can get per month while doing your research. Okay, so it's 70,000 per month in the initial days, and then it exceeds from 70,000 and it can exceed up to 80,000 per month. Okay, so this is the amount per month which I'm talking about. Now let's talk about a little bit about it. Like, see, the grant or the fellowship or the stipend which we get during our research in India is very less if you compare it with what you get in abroad. Like if I'm talking about European countries, if I'm talking about USA and other countries, if you convert that into INR, that's roughly around more than ₹1,00,000. Okay, so that's the amount of fellowship which research scholars get over there. And that's why people, like, because research, when you're doing research, you are quite adult at that time. You have to take care of your family. Many people have to start their families, so like, you have to support it financially also. And because of that only, in foreign countries or in abroad, people are more oriented towards research, because they are financially, they know that it will make them financially stable for certain amount of time, whenever, like, the time duration up till which they are going to do the research. But in India, people, like, they are little bit reluctant about going into research, because they think that if I'm going to invest my 5 years, what will happen after that, what will have to happen during that time. So these are certain things which I will cover in a separate video, but for now, this is certain initiative which the government of India has taken, so that people get a little bit more oriented towards research in India also. This fellowship is only awarded in the field of science and technologies. That means if you are doing research for science related subjects, or if you are doing research for technology related things, like if you are doing research after BTech or MTech, then you are eligible to get this particular fellowship. I'll discuss everything in detail about it. What is the eligibility criteria, how you can apply to this, what is the stipend exactly, how much you get and how much you get per year, like how it exceeds per year. So everything I'm going to talk about in this particular video. So do watch this video till end. Also, make sure that if you are new to this channel and if you have not subscribed the channel yet, please do consider subscribing it. If you like the video, please give it a like and share with as many students as possible. Now, without wasting any time, let's continue with our video. Alright, so before going into the eligibility and other stuffs, let me tell about a particular term which will come across again and again, like whole of this video. That will be PMRF granting institutes. Now, what is this PMRF granting institutes? Which institutes are actually PMRF granting institutes? So the names are like all IITs, all IISERs, IISc Bangalore, Jawaharlal Nehru University, JNU, Aligarh Muslim University, AMU, Banaras Hindu University, BHU, Jamia Millia Islamia University, JMI Delhi, Delhi University, DU, Hyderabad Central University or University of Hyderabad, HCU, and recently NIT Trichy has been added. NIT Tiruchirappalli has been added in this particular list. So these are the institutes which are called as PMRF granting institute. So anywhere throughout the video, whenever I'll be saying PMRF granting institute, that will refer to any of these institutes. All right. So these are all the institutes over here. The list, I guess you have already read it. Now let's talk about the eligibility. To get eligible for this particular fellowship, to be eligible for this, there are two schemes. One is called as direct entry scheme and the other one is called as lateral entry scheme. All right, I'll discuss about both of them. Okay, both of them have their own eligibilities, both of them have their own terms and conditions. So let's talk about that. So for direct entry scheme, okay, I'm telling you first for the direct entry scheme. So the first eligibility or the first way how you can apply through your BTech or masters. Okay, so if you have done BTech or masters from any colleges in India, any colleges means the colleges which are recognized by the government of India. Okay, the college should be recognized by the government of India, and if you have a CGPA of 8.0 or above, okay, so that is something, and also you should have a GATE score of 650 plus. So GATE score and GATE ranks are two different things. I hope you are aware about it. So you should have GATE score of 650 or more, and you should be in final year, or you should be having completed your MSc or BTech within past 3 years. Okay, so this is the first eligibility criteria. The second one is for those who are doing BTech or masters from your PMRF granting institutes. Okay, PMRF granting institute I already told you. So if you are doing your BTech or masters from these institute, then in that case you don't need to like get a GATE score. So GATE score criteria is waived off for you. You only need CGPA of 8 or above, and you should be in your final years, or you should have completed your BTech or masters in the previous 3 years. Okay, so this is the like these if you belong to any of these, then you are eligible to fill the form. Now there is one more way that also comes under your direct entry scheme. Now here also the things are like you don't need any GATE score, you just need GATE qualified. Okay, so if you have just qualified GATE, if you have done MTech or MS by research and completed or pursuing at your PMRF granting institute, that means if you are doing MTech or MS by research and you are going to further do PhD, that means further you are going to do research in any of the PMRF granting institute. Okay, so this is also for PMRF granting institute. The previous one was for BTech masters, this is for MTech MS. Okay, so those who are doing from PMRF granting institute and they are in their first semester. Okay, if you are in their first semester, and in that case if you have CGPA 8 or above, and if you have minimum 4 courses in your selection, in that case you will be eligible for this. So these are direct entry schemes. So if you fall under any of these schemes, then in that case you can apply for PMRF fellowship. All right, now how you can apply that I will tell you later. That second, let's discuss about the second eligibility criteria, the second scheme, that is called as lateral entry scheme, which is more useful and a sort of like which makes everyone eligible for this particular fellowship. Okay, so those who have joined PhD, okay, like those who have joined PhD directly and within 24 months. Okay, so if you have joined PhD, so from the date you have joined PhD to 24 months, you are eligible for this particular fellowship. Like you are eligible to apply for this particular fellowship, and you should have CGPA of 8.5 and above, and at least you should have 4 courses in your coursework. So you when you join PhD, you have a coursework. So in your coursework you should have at least 4 courses. You should have a CGPA of 8.5 and above, and you should be joined PhD within 24 months. Okay, so till the date you have joined, like starting from the date when you have joined PhD, from that date to 24 months you are eligible to apply for PMRF fellowship. Also, if in case you are someone who has converted his masters into PhD, okay, if you are someone who has converted his masters into PhD, in that case you can only apply it for 12 months. Okay, for the 12 months from the date you have joined into PhD. So these are the 2 criteria. All right, now let's discuss about that what are the advantages of it, or what are the benefits of this particular fellowship. Okay, so one thing which I already mentioned in the intro part, that this is going to be a very good monetary support for you. Okay, now how much money do you get? Let me tell you about that. So for those who have who are doing direct PhD, like who came from the direct PhD channel, that means those who skipped masters, those who have not done masters from BTech, they are directly coming to the PhD. For those, they get it for 5 years. Starts from 70,000 for the first year, 70,000 for the second year, 75,000 for the third year, 80,000 for the fourth year, and 80,000 for the fifth year. That's how it goes: 70, 70, 75, 80, 80. All right. Now those who have joined PhD after masters, if in case you have done masters and then you have joined PhD, in that case you get it for 4 years. Okay, you get it for 4 years. From the first year you get 70,000 per month. Second year you get 75,000 per month. In the third and fourth year you get 80 and 80,000. So that's how you get 70,000, 75, 80, 80. That's how you get if you have skipped if you have done a PhD after your masters. And in case there are some students who switch their PhD from one institute to the other, in case if you have done so, if you have switched your PhD, in that case you will be given fellowship for the time duration for which your PhD is left out. Let's say if you have switched it in the second year, then the 3 more years you are getting. So for the 3 years you will be getting this particular fellowship as 75, 80, 80, like that. Okay, so just like that you will be getting the amount, but this amount which I told you will be per month. Okay, every month you will be getting this much amount. So if you calculate, it goes something around 8.4 lakhs per year, and that's a huge amount, right? That's a big amount which you get, and it can obviously help you in maintaining your financial, like supporting you financially, right? And if you see this, the JRF fellowship looks very small in comparison to that, even less than half of that. All right, now the next thing is there are some other benefits as well. Apart from this fellowship, you also get a research grant or contingency amount of 2 lakhs per year. So this 2 lakhs per year amount you get in this PMRF fellowship, which you can spend as your travel allowance. You can use it in your research work. You can use it to purchase stationery items or any of the personal items which are being listed, or which your institute favors you, or which your institute allows you to take, right? So 2 lakhs per year you get. So in your 5 years of PhD you get a 10 lakh rupees for your as a research grant. For that you can travel for your like seminars, for different workshops if you want to go somewhere. You can easily do that. If you compare this particular research grant with what you get in your JRF, then obviously this is way too high, right? And also in JRF, if you are going to somewhere, or if you are applying for a travel allowance every year, that is also fixed. Like the numbers are fixed, that you cannot apply more than this much times for a travel allowance, but that is not in the PMRF fellowship. All right, so that is the second benefit of your PMRF fellowship. The third one is like it will be useful in your post research experiences. Like whenever you are given a particular grant or a particular fellowship, you are always named with that. If you are a DST Inspire fellowship, if you are getting a DST Inspire fellowship, so you will be called as DST Inspire fellow throughout your research and after your research as well. If you are a CSIR JRF, you will be called as CSIR JRF even when you complete your like research. Same goes for PMRF fellow. And if you are getting PMRF fellowship, yes, you will be called as a PMRF fellow, and that will help you, like that will give you a recognition, because every year a very limited number of students are getting this particular fellowship. So yes, that is helpful in your post PhD terms, right? And this is, you will be recognized as a PMRF student. All right, so these are some of the advantages of this PMRF fellowship. Now let me tell you that how you can apply for this. Okay, so how you can apply. Generally, the form for this particular fellowship comes in the month of July to August this year. Also, we are expecting that it will come. So once it comes, I'll notify you guys. But yeah, keep an eye on this. So the first thing is, like, there are certain requirements which you need. So make a note of these things. Okay, what are the things which you need? First thing is your academic details, like what you have done throughout, like since you have joined PhD, before that what you have done. So all your academic details will be required. A CV will be required, a resume or CV will be required. The third thing is SOP will be required, statement of purpose, in which you will write down that what is the research which you are going to do during your PhD program, and how that is going to benefit you. In case if you don't know how to write down research, how to write down the SOP, I'll link a video over here in which you have to go to the time zone, like you have to just go to the timestamp where I have explained how to write down SOP. All right. So yeah, you have to, you should have a good SOP in order to get selected for this. And you should also have a research experience. That means you should have joined some internship, or you should have done something before joining research. So if you have done that, you get benefit out of it. If you have not done, it's not mandatory, but yeah, if someone has done it, he or she gets benefit of it. Then the next thing is your list of publications, like how much research papers you have published so far when you are applying for PMRF. So as I told you that you can apply within 24 months of joining research. So within that tenure, how much research articles you have published. So let's say you have not published anything, that is also, like, it's not mandatory, okay, but if you have published, that will give you some good score over there, and the chances to get selected will be high. And the next thing is a strong recommendation from the supervisor. So your supervisor should recommend you very strongly. Okay, so you should have a good interactive like bond with your supervisor, so that he can recommend you for this. So that's what it makes. Okay, so PMRF fellowship, in order to get this fellowship, your supervisor plays a very important role. This point which I just told, it's really important. It can overpower all the other points. Okay, if there is a very strong recommendation from your supervisor, that can overpower each and everything. So make sure that your supervisor makes a good recommendation for you. All right, so how you can apply? All right, I was telling you about that. So these are certain requirements which I just told you. In order to apply, basically, you need, as I told you, like a reference you need from your supervisor, and as I told you, SOP and other things are required. Now, the thing is that there are two ways how you can apply for. One is for those who are studying in a non-PMRF institute. So if you are from some non-PMRF institute and if you fall under the eligibility criteria to apply for this particular fellowship, in that case you have to go for a central portal. Okay, there is a portal on PMRF website. You can go and fill out that particular portal. And in case if you belong to a PMRF granting institute, the PMRF granting institutes names I have already told you. So if you belong to any of those institute, in that case you don't have to go to the central portal, but you have to go to your department and you have to apply through the department itself. So PMRF granting, like the student who study in PMRF granting institute, what they have to do, they have to go and they have to apply in their department, and then from their department they are going to select you and they are going to select your name and they are going to forward it to the PMRF panel. All right, so everything goes to the PMRF panel at the end. I'll give you a blueprint of this. What happens exactly is, if a particular person is non-PMRF, he has to go to the central panel, he has to fill that, he has to like apply, and he has to give all the other things, whatever requirements were there, he has to upload that, and then that will be given to the PMRF panel. If a particular student is from PMRF institute, PMRF granting institute, in that case that student has to, he does not have to go to the central portal, but he has to apply through the department only, and his department will forward his application to the PMRF panel. So that's how things goes to the PMRF panel. The final decision PMRF panel takes, and that's how student gets PMRF fellowship. So if you are eligible and if you are applying, you get this fellowship within few months. The online portal and other things, all the other details will be asked from you, like your bank details and other things, and then you will be getting your amount in your bank directly. So this is how the PMRF fellowship works, and these are the things, I guess these are certain things which I guess were important to be discussed. Now there are certain more things which you should know, that in some institutes, apart from these things, when you get a PMRF fellowship, in that case, if you have got, let's say you have been selected as a PMRF fellow and now you started getting your PMRF fellowship, in that case there are certain more restrictions on you. What are those restrictions? The first one is, in some institutes they ask you to publish a research article every year. This is not in every institute, it is in some institutes, and there is a panel which will be made to like look after your like how you are growing throughout your research or how you are doing throughout your research, and they will have a keen look on you. Why? Because the government is giving so much amount of money to you, so they will have a good look at you, that what you are doing throughout your research, whether you are doing your research sincerely or not. And if in any case they will find you that you are not doing research sincerely, they will give you a notice or they will give you a warning. And in if case you have ignored the warning and you kept on neglecting the research work, or if you have not if you didn't become serious towards the research, then in that case they can stop or they can terminate your PMRF fellowship. So this is something which you should know. So after getting this fellowship, the thing does not ends over there. You should be continuously performing good throughout your research. One more thing, in some institutes they also ask you to work as a TA. TA is teaching assistant. Okay, so you have to go to a particular like you have to take some classes, maybe in your same institute or maybe in some other institute. That depends upon how your institute manages it. So this thing is dependent only on your institute. So it's not, there is no central rule for it. It is just like how your institute takes care of this thing, whether they take you as a TA or not. Some institutes, they don't even ask you to be a TA, they just want you to work well in your research. So it all depends upon your institute whether they ask you to be a TA or not. Okay, so that's what it is. So once you get a like this PMRF fellowship, things does not end over there. You have to keep on performing well after that as well. So these are certain things, these were certain things which were, I think, important to know for this particular fellowship. It is one of the best fellowships currently in India to do PhD, because of the amount, because of the flexibility which it gives you, because of the advantages which it gives you. It overpowers any of the other fellowships which are available, right? So I hope you understood it, and if you are eligible and if you fall under the eligibility criteria, I hope that you will take benefit of that. So many a times people ask me that what's the benefit of doing PhD from good institute, what's the benefit of joining some IITs, IISERs or some top universities. I can do PhD from anywhere else, right? But these are some benefits, okay? These are some things which affect you in a broad perspective. So that's all for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope whatever things we have discussed, whatever points we have discussed are clear to you, and I have written them down while editing so that you understand everything and you just don't get confused with anything regarding the eligibility and other factors. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Till then, have a great day. Bye bye.